attended the Zoom meeting on November 18th.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
physically. Okay, great. Thank you. And you have a copy of agenda. We need to prove the special meeting agenda. Obviously, it's there, and I would like to have any discussion or any whatever before we have a motion to prove the.
I have a question, although this is really Amy's division of labor, because the UEPC, that we divided the resolutions this month, that Amy was going to focus on the student recognition RME, and I'm going to have the 2 RMEs in December for the changing the names of the different centers on campus. But I guess the question I have, and I don't want to jump on you, Amy, on this necessarily, but I think the question I have is, what is the current status of who are we recognizing? Because I know that's been changing and it's been updated, and other suggestions have been being made to us. So do you have any, before we go before the faculty senate in an hour, what is the final list of people we're recognizing?
Yes, thank you, Joe. I had the same question and I just wanted to bring it up because I had in front of me Daniel, Joseph, Jacob, all of their credit hours, and it looks like Joseph had 61 credit hours and Jacob had 60, but are we not recognizing Joseph and we are recognizing Jacob? And that was just one of my concerns, that I wanted to make sure no one was being overlooked when we are going to amend the resolution. So
Okay. Okay, Joe, make sure I understand your question accurately. Now, we just make sure the items on our special meeting agenda will be acceptable to all our council members. So, and we're going to come to your item. That means post-humorous degree soon.
Yeah.
So I would like, if it's okay, I would like to have a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Anyone second?
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion, further discussion before we vote orally? Okay, if there's no more discussion, could you help us to call the executive council members' name? We'll say yay or nay or abstain, okay?
Yep.
Approve the agenda.
Okay. Let me get a list of that. So we'll start with to approve the agenda. Joe Ceramic, yay, nay, or abstain?
Abstain.
Bethany Rader,
Yay.
Yu-Ting Lee,
Yes, yeah.
Jennifer Sherry,
Yay.
Scott Comparato,
Yes.
Seong Hee Lee,
Yay.
Marcus Odom, Marcus Odom,
He's having voice difficulties.
okay, yep. He says thumbs up, so yay.
Mhm.
Amy Bro,
yay.
and that is it for eligible voters or members of the EC.
Yourself. How about
Oh,
yourself?
of course. I'll go with the yay. Oh, I'll go with yay for me. And Jenny Brobst just came.
That's a yay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So agenda approved. Now, the next one on our agenda, we're going to talk about posthumous degrees. So, and Joe and Amy, so you have the resolution here and any discussion or any amendment, or could you present to the committee, Joe and Amy?
This is more Amy's resolution than mine, so I'll defer to her.
Sure. So I took I got input from the executive council as to who we were recognizing in the posthumous degree. And it was expressed that we wanted to recognize all of the students and the graduate that had passed. And so that is our original resolution. But I think, as Joe mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, we did want some clarification as to who we should include to recommend the posthumous degrees as far as the resolution goes. And so I have in front of me the possible amendment to add Daniel Lobo. He had 105 credit hours, recognized GPA of 2.537. And then in question, we had the sophomore status, Joseph Ermel. He had 61 credit hours, a GPA of 3.816. And then we had Jacob Jaranek, 60 credit hours, a GPA of 3.525, and Kishana Jackson, who was in her first semester. So we had the deans reach out for both Daniel and Jacob with their support, and we did have faculty support for Joseph, but I was going to actually ask maybe the chancellor to see if maybe he had any insight on Joseph Ermel, and if that was going to be coming to us soon, and that way we can kind of have this have him included, since this is a special meeting, to have this done timely and before graduation. I just don't want anyone to be overlooked, so I wanted to gain more insight on that before we go ahead and amend it with including or excluding people from the resolution. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for Amy?
I guess my question is about a posthumous degree for Kishana Jackson. Since she was a freshman, does she qualify for the substantial progress toward degree? That's where I'm hung up. I feel bad. I don't want to look like we're excluding someone for the wrong reasons, but I just wanted some clarification on that.
Senator Gilbert sent us about a week ago something he found as a precedent. In 1974, the Faculty Senate passed a resolution saying that posthumous degrees could only be given for significant progress towards a degree. That was the recommendation of the Faculty Senate back in 1974. So by that standard, I think by any objective standard, Mrs. Jackson wouldn't be eligible. However, I think it's fair to say that the committee agreed with the sentiment of doing some recognition, some kind at commencement, even if we can't award them a degree. It would just be a really good gesture on our part as a university to make some kind of announcement or gesture. And perhaps that doesn't require us to do that. Maybe that's in the purview of the chancellor and the provost at commencement, but that would be the recommendation of UEBC on that.
I would add to that, just to make it a little softer. I just put forward via the policy, just the recommendation for Jacob because of that progress being made. And then I think after I made the recommendation, and then the Daniel, I think, came in after that, unfortunately. And yeah, to your point, Amy and Joe, we were a little, and Matt, I think Kishana and others kind of came after that,
Mhm.
but maybe didn't meet the, you know, the language of what we were trying to do here. Again, respecting this process. But there are things we could do. We have the scholarship in Kishana's name. The family is very thankful for that. We've been in touch with them. There are ways that we could continue to recognize her as we go forward. So those are things that we could probably help with. So it doesn't look like, you know, I think the optics sometimes could be, oh, guys are not being sensitive to what happened, but that's not the case here. So there are some things I think we could do. I'm looking at the provost, you know, that we could do internally to help that out.
Thank you, Chancellor. Any other comments, question for either Joe or Amy?
So just for my clarification, this resolution is recommending the degree to Joseph, Jacob, and Kishana, or are we thinking to remove Kishana from the degree portion?
The latter, I think. I think we're just saying, I think 61 or 60 credit hours shows significant progress towards a degree because you need 120 credits to graduate. So that's half of progress. I think somebody who's probably not made half. But the problem is the, you know, the 1974 resolution, the fact we sent it isn't vague. It doesn't give us actually an objective standard. So but I think half of the degree would be my sense of what seems to be a fair standard.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. And given what Chancellor Lane just mentioned about other avenues, including a scholarship, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think that would be, personally, I think that would be fine to remove her name from a resolution, this resolution on posthumous degrees.
Mhm.
Thank you, Bethany. Any other question, comments from other senators or guests?
I had a question. Is this something that we anticipate doing every year? I mean, as a matter of consistency and fairness?
Very good question. I think under the leadership of Chancellor Mann, and he supports shared governance. In the past, as far as I know, ordinarily just the administrator make decision. Chancellor Mann strongly supports shared governance, and he wants faculty and faculty senator get involved. I anticipate this will continue because faculty senator, faculty input will be very important. Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
Are we adding Daniel, was his last name Lobo, to this? I can't remember his name, who passed away about a week ago. Or
Daniel Lobo.
Daniel, L-O-B-O.
yeah, is he considered to be included in here? Because I got the impression that he had made substantial progress toward the degree he was
Yeah.
working on.
I did too. Wendell, I don't know if we can check that. Great question, Matt. I actually thought he was working on his master's degree. So I know undergrad, there was some confusion whether this was.
Right, exactly. That would be a grad council matter. So just to be very, I think we have to respect the constituency body there.
I'll check that out for you.
Okay.
Dr.
Okay.
I know I talked with Vice Chancellor Jeffrey Burgeon, and he checked his record, that means record of Daniel Lobo. And the GPA 3 point, as we know that the 2.7, something like that. And still, I think maybe still on, I mean, I tried to find the record, I could not find it. Maybe Provost Kumaraju, could you clarify?
Yeah, the email that Vice Chancellor Jeffrey Bergen had sent indicates that he has earned 105 credit hours and his GPA is 2.537.
So still undergraduate, right? Provost Kumaraju, right? Okay. So if,
So in that
Yeah.
case, yes, it would be in our resolution. 'Cause-
yes, it's our
Yeah.
job. Thank you.
I show, Mr. President, I show him as having a 2.54 GPA. His course information is low, just a second, he is listed. It's loading, I'll get back with you as soon as it finishes loading.
Mhm. I think to
Okay.
get back, to get really quickly, to get back to Jennifer's point though, this would be a good gesture for us to do, and we need to be consistent on our approach. I think it just really it shows the supportiveness of this university towards its students to be doing something like this. You know, if, you know, I think the benchmark to me, again, my own, I guess my knee jerk, it's not an objective standard. In fact, we send a resolution 974, but if you're making half or more progress towards 120 credits, I think we probably should recognize that in some way.
Yes, I agree. So,
Just don't think it will never be consistent. You might have a student, and I'm not sure, I don't know very much about these students
Mhm.
this year, and of course I would not object, but it's just been such a difficult time. But you're going to encounter, if you make this an annual thing, you're going to encounter a student who had a character disciplinary matter. You're going to have a student who has a domestic violence protection order against them. You're going to have a student who got a 1.9 but raised their GPA substantially the last semester, and they're denied. This is going to happen. And I would not like to be on the faculty senate trying to make judgments about the lives of these people, but I do appreciate the need to honor them, and it's been hard this year.
thank you,
think she
Jennifer.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think those are really good points. Also, if you want, there's nothing in place to ensure that this is an annual exercise. There's no guideline or charge to any Senate committee to instruct people to look into this to see if there's any eligible students. So you'd have to rely on the institutional memory of this group that has a lot of turnover, that somebody next year will remember, oh, we have to do this. I think you run into problems with that, but there's nothing in writing otherwise.
Okay, Provost Kumarajo.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just helpful contextual information that over the past, whatever, 25 years I've been here, in situations like this, the academic unit usually takes the lead in making the request for the degree, because the academic program knows the student and they believe that, okay, this is unfortunate, untimely, but the student was making progress. So that whether the faculty senate has been involved or not, it has been going on and students have been awarded degrees. So just as contextual information.
Thank you, Provost Kumarajo. Any further comments, questions? Well, if
I
not,
do show him as being a senior with the GPA of 2.54.
Thank you.
thank you. Any more clarification, comments, questions? So if not, Amy, could you rephrase the final therefore or whatever resolution, and then we're going to have a vote, yea, nay, abstain.
Yes, so I can post it in the comments. I added Daniel Lobo to the first whereas, the third whereas, and then let it be resolved. And then, there you go. And then removed Keisha Shana from the last let it be resolved.
Okay,
So it reads as it is in the chat if anyone wants to
Yeah.
look at it there. And I did find a typo that I corrected as well.
Just a suggestion, I'll make it now instead of an hour from now to save us some time, maybe later, is could we put in there something about them achieving substantial progress towards their degree or something in that first whereas, so it makes it clear, you know, or more clear at least why they were the ones that received their degree?
I
Yeah.
have that in the second whereas. The
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see it.
substantial-
Oh, is it there? Okay, because I think.
Oh, I see those specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we want to be making it, whereas at the time of their passing, they were like more than
Could we-
halfway with their degree or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Could we also add that their departments recommended this?
Yeah. Yeah. I would.
Joe's
I
point.
think that's a good friendly amendment. And then just a very stylistic thing, Amy, but it's something that I think for the students, when you list the three of them, it probably makes better sense from stylistic point of view to list them alphabetically.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I
to
can do
put
that.
Daniel Lobo, so you have Joseph Ermel, Joseph Jurnick, and Daniel Lobo. That way it's just sort of consistent.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be, it's just a slight cleaning up of it.
Okay.
very good comments. Thank you. So we still wait for the minor amendment.
I have a question just as I'm reading it again. On the last whereas, where it says, we're all enrolled SIU students with good academic standing, would it be important to put in there about their substantial degree progress just to reiterate that for clarity?
It's there, it's already there.
That's what I just added that one. That was the correction we were making.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's already there.
Thank you.
Isn't it in good academic standing, not with?
I think you're right.
Okay, so we can see the chart. Any correction, suggestion, or before? Or edit before we vote?
I call the question.
Okay. Okay. So if there's no more discussion, Then we're going to process to vote. So Matt, are you ready?
Yes,
All right. So you call the name, yea, nay, abstain.
yes. So starting with Joseph Shremick,
Yay.
Bethany Rader,
Yay.
Yu-Ting Lee,
Yes, yea.
Jennifer Sherry,
Yay.
Scott Camperato,
Yes.
Seung-Hee Lee,
Yay.
Marcus Odom,
Yay.
Amy Brow,
Yay.
myself is yay. Jennifer Bropst
Okay.
and Elaine Jerkowski. You're muted.
Yay.
Okay, thank you. And
Okay,
that's everybody.
good. Thank you. I know we have two co-chairs are not here. So I think everybody who are here. Okay, thank you very much. We approved this resolution. Thank you. We're going to move to the next one on our agenda. So I pretty much the new business, which with regard to November 18th, the town hall meeting of faculty students forum. I invited USG undergraduate student government president Isaiah Overton. Is Isaiah here? And also I invited the boss person, Dr. Correa, to be here too. So I know that we had a few faculty members who attended the town hall meeting, the forum. We have Professor Mike Agos here, Professor Brown, who couldn't be here. He was teaching. He attended the meeting. So I hope you had a chance and you had a chance of looking at the Zoom or YouTube. So now it's open to discussion, comments.
I had a question if you received feedback afterwards from the students or faculty.
Very good point. Yes, I got some feedbacks from a few students and a few faculty members. And in fact, some faculty members, at least a few of them, they talked to me by email. They liked the forum and discussion, and students, they talked to me after the meeting on the same night, on the same day in the auditorium. And they think they thought it's a good discussion. At least we had the opportunity to talk with them. Thank you, Jennifer. And any other question, comments for me, or do we want to meet?
I'll say that after hearing the students' proposed resolution of the pass-fail option, I told the students, and I think I still feel that with this resolution, that it addresses the concerns I had when I originally voted against it. That being said, at that time, we weren't privy to the email that went out to the students, and I hadn't seen what had been proposed to them. I personally think what has been provided for them is adequate to address the concerns. The biggest concern I heard from the students was, well, I'm going to have to retake some of these classes. And if I understood that email from the chancellor correctly, he was providing financial support specifically to help address that need. And so I guess I would say two things. One is that knowing what's been proposed to them, I think I'm comfortable where it stands now, and I'm not sure I would want to change my vote on this resolution. And two, that I think there are some other options out there. As Jennifer mentioned last time, it's not just kind of the pass fail. I think there's a lot of things that we could include in a resolution that would help address their concerns. And then finally, you know, I mean, and the chancellor and provost can speak to this, but I think at this point, even if we re-voted and changed our vote to a positive on the pass fail, that decision's been made and the ship sailed. And it's kind of silly for us to go back and change our vote in a way that's really not going to provide any constructive, you know, change to where we're at right now. So I guess my sentiment at this point would be to provide a new resolution, but in that resolution, instead of going back to the pass fail vote, for one specific thing is to propose setting up a new committee that's specifically designed to address student issues. So we have a new standing committee that meets with the students 2 or 3 times a semester and conducts a forum just like we did that night, to make sure that student concerns are getting passed to the Faculty Senate in a much more timely manner.
Thank you, Senator Mike Echols. And we have President Isaiah Overton, and we're talking about the town hall meeting. Would you like to give us some overview, the feedback you heard from students?
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to say thank you guys for inviting me to this meeting. I was watching via the YouTube because I was confused if I was supposed to show up to the executive council meeting or the full Faculty Senate meeting today. But students really enjoyed the town hall. They really were happy to have the opportunity to speak to faculty directly. They expressed that they would like to see more faculty in the room from all the various different departments across campus. So the hope is that we can keep that conversation going and really have more more intimate conversations too. So I'm going to be working with some of the umbrella organizations like the Engineering Student Council and the Ag Student Council to kind of set up forums within their direct colleges and some within their direct departments too. There was one other thing I wanted to mention too. I think our students are still struggling. I really do think that we need to kind of work together today to find a way to help the students most in need right now. And then also touching on what you just spoke about as far as creating a standing committee where you guys can actually meet with students and we can continue the conversation further. I think we can create a committee to do that, but I also think that we can add some more undergraduate students to the Undergraduate Education Policy Committee. Currently, we have one student on that committee, and that student is the USG VP of Student Affairs, but I also believe that we should have at least 2 to 3 more students directly from the USG Senate or other parts of the university, just so that we can have student voices speaking directly to undergraduate policies.
I'm going to warn you though, we deal with a lot of complicated changes to major requirements, so students better want to do that work. But yeah, I totally agree with the sentiment. I think more voices, more inclusion is better than less. But yeah, we tend to deal with a lot of complicated policy sometimes.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I have to work, as you know, with the chancellor a lot, and I have to deal with a lot of complex issues that most students won't find interest in. But I do believe that we do have a lot of students who actually want to take control of their degree and want to have a direct impact on our university.
Okay.
Actually, President Isaiah Overton made a very good point about the more involvement, more engagement from undergraduate students into UPEC. And I think this issue can be addressed by working with committee as well as UPEC. And perhaps we can get more undergraduate students to be on UPEC, Undergraduate Policy Education Committee. So we hope we will get this materialized, if not this semester, obviously December. And we hope we can consider it in January or February or in spring at least.
I would also like to just add to that really briefly, and this is just something that's on us. We sometimes forget because we're so busy and absent-minded and cue in the joke about professors. I think we forget sometimes that we have standing members of university student government on our committees. I think it took a while this year to get the member appointed. That's on me and Amy. There's really no excuse for it, but it's something I think we might need just a better procedure in place to make sure that the committees on campus that have statutory student representatives already on them, that those members are notified of meetings, that those members know about the committee at the beginning of the academic year and everything's ready to go. So I would like to work more with you in UEP, in University Student Government, to how to achieve that.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe, I would like to actually thank you for saying that, because just a simple acknowledgement that you guys make so far.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again? That there's a lot of echo.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I truly appreciate you saying that, because just an acknowledgement that you guys did mess up, that goes so far. That lets us know that you actually do care.
Okay.
One thing, really quickly, one thing to keep in mind for the Faculty Senate operating paper for UEPC, there is one undergraduate slot designated for that committee. So any additional undergraduate students to be put on that committee, we may have to change the operating paper for that committee.
Okay. Now, would that go through the governance committee? I'm trying to think procedurally, how would we, if we wanted to do that, how would we do that?
If we want to, yeah, go ahead, Nichang.
From my perspective, probably that has to be like the operating paper has to be changed and voted yes, and then we can go ahead and do that. That's my understanding, of course.
All right. Mm-hmm.
I have a suggestion. What would be wrong with having a student subcommittee, and you could involve as many people as you wanted, and then whatever voice that they have, that could come through the representative. And then we wouldn't have to immediately change the operating paper.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we could involve more students at the get-go, just, to make sure that we have a representative voice.
That's a good suggestion. Maybe a committee on committee and also UPEC work together on this, and maybe we can you can make a recommendation to the faculty senator, either in December's meeting or in spring, a subcommittee for UPEC. So,
okay.
And Yinan and Sung-hee, you will work with other committee and also USG President Overton. Would that be okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's fine.
Would that be okay with you, Isaiah?
Yes, I'll be okay.
Good, thank you. Any other comments and questions about the town hall meeting? I know after town hall meeting, I had a meeting with Chancellor Nan, and also yesterday I met with Provost Kumarajo and Associate Chancellor Wendell Williams, and I showed the data with you last night. Jennifer?
I wanted to make a note about the format of the town hall, because I was online and I came in halfway through because I had just finished teaching. And it felt like there were two different town halls happening at the same time, because the people who were present and on the stage and physically there had no idea the numbers of people that were online, and there was active chat and criticism going back and forth and suggestions and corrections. And it wasn't really conducive to getting a sense of the meeting as a whole. So I'm glad to see that the next one is fully online. I think that's better. And in future, if it's a controversial issue, probably better to have it either all in person or all online and not both. Because I think it created a little bit of confusion, and it didn't have a sense either of, because those of us online couldn't see how many people were in the audience. So what you saw was individuals going up to a mic telling their personal harrowing stories, and it felt anecdotal. And I didn't really get a sense, which I really wanted to. I got a sense of some of the worst cases that I needed to know about our students, but I really didn't get a sense of what our students are as a whole, which I think our undergraduate student body officers should be giving us that sense too. Like, how are students doing overall as well? Because I started to worry as a professor that some students were home studying, getting ready for finals and acing their finals with the same circumstances as some of the students taking the time to try to advocate. And it's going to create this academic divide when, you know, I wanted to give this sort of responsible advice. Like, I've been an advocate from day one and a public interest attorney, and there's a way to do this. And there's also a way to sort of, I was even worried about the students because it was public information, sharing their private details. Did nobody tell them this is out on the web now? You know, I mean, that we need to be careful with our students, and we need to really, I think, just incentivize you to advocate, but in a way that really furthers your interests. And I'm not sure these town halls are the way. It has nothing to do with what was said. It's about the format, and also a little bit about the timing right before finals, to be honest, because I don't know if it had to happen now. And I think right at the beginning of the next semester, when none of your grades and finals were at stake, I would have been all in.
Very good point, Professor Jennifer Brooks. And I think as a format, we have to take it into consideration in the future. Obviously, I had no clue who were on Zoom or made what comments. Very good point. Thank you. Joe?
I want to say, I want to save some time for our meeting, ask the provost and chancellor and Mr. Williams this question. Something, I looked at your slides yesterday very carefully last night, and I wrote this already up to the UEPC colleagues of mine. I'm still confused about one very important thing, which is what have our peer institutions done in the last 3 semesters? Because I was I'll just give you a tiny anecdote here. I was talking with a colleague in my grad school days who teaches at another Illinois public university. And he said his university only did pass the immediate crisis semester of spring 20, when we were halfway through one teaching modality by and large, and then all of us had to, because of lockdown orders, go immediately to something else. After that point, as he made the point to me, students knew what type of modality was being offered when they registered for a course. So I guess I'm a little, and this is Matt's point as well this morning, he replied to my email. I'm not so sure, I'm a little uncertain as to why our students are seem to be struggling more with the adjustment. The mental health crisis seems to be more acute on our campus, or perhaps it's not more acute, and perhaps it's really acute nationwide, but other universities have had different strategies for handling. So I don't know if you have an answer to this kind of bubbling question of mine, but it's something that's left unanswered from the data you shared with us.
Thank you, Provost Pomerachio.
Yeah, I can just share with you what I know, and through my meetings with the provost of the other Illinois state universities, we meet every month. So my understanding is this: in that spring 2020, everybody did this, and including the community colleges, where they actually did not necessarily even grade. They did not end the semester with letter grade. They just said pass, no pass. So there was a mixture of things, and the IBHE kind of weighed in and said, kind of accommodate these students. So that is one spring 2020 when no one had a choice, right? Then for the next fall and spring, we differed, each university differed from the other, even within Illinois. So for example, like we didn't give students a choice to some extent. We said, if you're in a class more than 100 students, it's going to be online. So we didn't give the instructor a choice. We didn't give the student a choice. So because of that, we kind of made some accommodation for those 2 semesters that we would have the pass, no pass. What other universities did, they did not necessarily do the pass, no pass, but they had some other things like we are doing this semester, extending the withdrawal date, allowing students to drop even after the semester is over. Those kinds of things is what other universities did. Because the way they rolled out their classes was slightly different from how we did it. So every university didn't have like a cookie cutter sort of solution of how they ran the classes, like how much I'll give an example. Northeastern Illinois University, 80-90% was online. So they're in Chicago, and that's how they ran there. So from day one, students knew it was all going to be online. Whereas we made our decisions kind of like closer to the start of the semester. So there was, it's just that every university varied a little bit in terms, and then what it did was that it came up with its own ways of helping their students in terms of whether they were going to extend the drop deadline or actually do the pass, no pass. So this semester, when I asked them, as soon as our USG came up with that resolution, I asked them, I said, hey, are you all hearing this? They said, absolutely not. So they were not even considering that on their campus. But they also talked about the mental health issues that they students, we just sort of discussed, so we bring up like topics and just hear from everybody what is the sort of story on that campus. So the mental health concerns did exist on other campuses too.
Right.
So this is just my personal sort of insight that I have.
Thank you, Provost Kumaracho. Any other comments, questions, either for President Overton or for me or for anyone else?
I just think also I would echo what Mike said a couple minutes ago, which is I wasn't aware the day we voted first. I was planning on abstaining on the resolution, and I'll tell just the advice I give President Overton on this. The reason I was going to abstain on it was there was way too many bullet items in this one jumble resolution. I would recommend in the future. I never like omnibus resolutions. I feel like I'm being asked to vote on too many conflicting things all at the same time. So I think there wasn't enough time that day to offer really amendments or to break it into different, vote more digestible voting pieces. And then the other pieces of what, and since the chancellor's stepped out, but the provost is still here with us, the very welcome extension of withdrawal deadline, the very welcome extension of some of these other remedies, I thought went in my head, like Mike, a long way towards resolving some of the mental health challenges students are facing right now. So again, I just want to kind of thank the provost for implementing those policies. They make a lot of sense.
I also want to add, Isaiah and I used to be a student body officer for many years. Your body can really take leadership in the sense of creating community among students. And that I have found with the pandemic, and it's already happens with higher ed anyway, but it's very socially isolating to be a college student. And that contributes obviously to mental health issues. And I actually just finished a book chapter on this regarding first-gen law students and was trying to come up with ideas on how to generate really good programs to address that social isolation piece so that students come together with each other. And part of my recommendation is to stop looking to faculty, because faculty, there's a conflict of interest inherent because we grade you, right? We also are, to be honest, students may not know this, but faculty are self-selected to be kind of introverted people. They're not the most social people in the world anyway. They're not great at this. And so what we need are, I think, that your group could really advocate for are like social spaces in the dorms, improve all of that. I emailed you and offered you a couple suggestions, like use the music department to generate just some joy and some events, or the theater department, like involve the students together and take ownership of creating some more joy to alleviate the mental health, to allow people to feel together enough to get themselves to class and to give themselves a ticket to a better life by graduating. That's what we want. That's what we want. And I think that student leadership could really go a long way, and it shouldn't be top down. It should be bottom up. And
thank you.
Grassroots advocacy, but that's my advice to you. In addition to enhancing our counseling services and everything else for those in most dire need. But I look around campus, I walk campus every day, and it's too quiet. There should be student happiness and stuff happening, and that's something that I, as a former student body officer, would have put together.
Thank you, Professor Jennifer Probst. So it's now 1:50. I would like to give 2 more minutes to President Overton to wrap up. And then I'm going to ask for a motion to join the meeting, and we're going to take a 3 to 5 minutes break. We'll start our faculty senate meeting. Would that be okay with you? President Overton, would you like to wrap up with 2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you guys for all the feedback. Touching on the format, we did have someone in the audience monitoring the Zoom session, and they were also allowed to step up to the mic. So every couple minutes they were able to step up from the mic. Going forward, I do like either having I want to have a mixture. So I want to do some all online, some kind of in-person session. So thanks you for sharing that too. And then touching on campus morale is extremely low. And I think the pandemic made it only worse with social interactions. Even as president, I found that a lot of our lower classmen students, they're just scared to even talk to anybody. This semester, the USG worked with fraternities and sororities, but also worked with the Chancellor's Office, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office, and Dean of Students Office to host a kind of like a homecoming dance. And we had about 400 students come out and participate. We've been working with a lot of student organizations to get a lot more events on campus. It's just kind of hard reaching out to all the students. So I think I also need your guys' help, kind of encourage your students to get out a bit more. Make sure that your students know about This Is SIU. It's a newsletter that they should be getting in their email every Thursday. It talks about all the on-campus events. I think as a university, we have to kind of all work together to boost campus morale, because it's real hard right now. It's just real hard, tough getting people out there, and it's tough getting in contact with people.
Thank you, President Overton. And Amanda, you want to say a few words before we wrap up? Is she still here? Okay. President Isaiah Overton, I just want you to know, and also undergraduate student government to know, we're very proud of your leadership, and we are very supportive of students. Students are most important to us, and we care for you and students' learning, student health, as well as student success. We're always with you guys. Anytime, any support, any initiative, we're behind you. So, and you have my email and my phone number, and I will be very happy to work with you on behalf of faculty to support you and all our students. Is that okay with you, President Overton?
Yes, that is. Am I still on the agenda for the full faculty senate meeting?
Sure.
Okay. I might have the other executive board members, they might be able to touch on the forum to kind of give you guys a bit more insight on what they felt.
Sure. Thank you. Well, it's almost 5 minutes before the full faculty senate meeting, special meeting. I would like to have a motion to join the meeting and take a 5 minutes break.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor, just we'll be back in 5 minutes, okay?
Thank you.
Hey, Josh, this is Carol. Should I go ahead and stop the YouTube feed and then restart it whenever the other meeting starts?
Yeah, that'd be good, Carol. Thank you.